Okay, bro. So, Dr. Siti, tafadhal. You can start, insyaAllah.
Okay. So I think that's all right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to everyone. Thank you for finding time to join this second session on self-talk series at KICT. And today our speakers will present to you on how we can include or implement self into our courses in the kuliah. So just to refresh again from the previous session, Sejahtera is we want to humanize their education, where we put our soul, our inner self together with relationship with the creator itself when educating the students. So in the end, what the outcome will we produce something that will have soul, which is more meaningful and valuable. So before we start, I would like to inform that you can ask questions after each speaker session, and you can also type your questions in the chat. So I would like to invite for the first speaker, Associate Prof. Dr. Murni, to share the result of self-survey. Please welcome Dr. Murni. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for joining. Let me just share the slide. So I would like to ask for permission to present the slide this way, because when I play them, then I will not be able to see the faces. So I become very uncomfortable, but yeah. So I hope we can see the slides. Yes?
Yes, we
Yeah,
see.
thank you. So I think before, thanks to everyone for joining. I think this is a continuation from the previous session that we had. But before I proceed, I would like to say a few words of appreciation. I would like to thank the Prof. Wahab, our Dean, and also the Kuliah Management, Kuliah Executive Management members who actually has helped in the development of survey and also helping in reviewing the results. Secondly, I think also I would like to thank the previous speakers who actually already set the foundation. I think that's really important. And thirdly, I would like to thank all the participants and respondents that who have participated in the survey, and all the information, the knowledge and thoughts that you have shared are really important, contributing into the result that I will share today. So I will break the sharing today into two parts. The first part is my personal take over what I understood or how I interpret SAF. The second one will be on the result itself. So I'll try to be brief wherever possible because a lot of things has been said before. So I think everyone is very familiar with this, so I will not, this is just to flash to us, this is SAF all about, right? I would like to bring all of us to reflect upon the last chapter in the SAF book, where it's saying that the SAF is actually both old and new. It is old because the core values, vision and mission is already there, and that is the foundation. It is new because it will help us to weave together the current and the future agenda of IIUM. So in a simple way, I would take in my personal reflection, SAF is a space for reflection. Okay, and I call it in my personal words is a muhasabah. So SAF is not, we should not worry too much about implementing SAF because we already done it, but now we are making a new package for it. because of these few reasons that I will share, which is I extract from the book itself, right? So this is just a reminder that has been highlighted by Dr. Zol in the previous session. So I think I will not deal with this very much. I would like to bring to this what is actually trigger me to learn more and try to understand more what's happening in SAF. In the last chapter in this book, right? There are 4 scenarios has been charted. Okay, the first scenario is if we don't change, if IUM don't change, what going to happen to our university, or what going to happen to us? What going to happen to the mission and vision of the university? So basically, we are merely existing. Okay, I would like to call everyone to take time to read if you have not, take time to read the different scenario. The second scenario is if we don't change, or if we change marginally, right? We still exist, but maybe we just exist, or IIUM might be exist in terms of just concept and in terms of reality. Maybe there's a lot of things that maybe we will fall behind. The third scenario is this: what happened right now, where we are doing the changes, we are continually leading the way, and yeah, we can achieve certain mission and vision, but we're gonna maybe left as a sanctuary, right? But the one that we are looking for with the guidance or with the support from staff itself is about having radical change. What we want to do is we want to make IIUM as a preferred choice, where we, the students, the staff, the academic, and the administration, creating this mercy to the world, which is the rahmatan lil alamin. So this is my take. Definitely, I'm very sure that every one of us has their own interpretation. We can discuss on this, or you can, if there is any. I'm sure there are a lot of weaknesses there, but you can please give feedback and then share your thoughts about this, right? So, in some last few pages in the SAF book, I extracted this. Okay, so the preferred scenario of IIUM is set for 2040. What is it that one of the things that we should achieve, or we should see what happened in 2040, is that IIUM graduate will be the Khalifah, right? So because of that, I think if we follow through the fourth scenario, then we know that we have to do that radical change. And I think I'm very sure that everyone are doing the changes, but now I think we have to be more in terms of sharing the changes that we have made so that we can be benefiting from each other, inshallah.
Dr. Murni, sorry
Yes?
to interrupt. Can you show your slide? Someone is too small.
Okay. All right. I'll try. Yeah. Okay. I have done. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So right. So now, when we talk about from whatever we have discussed in the previous session, and then come to the session, this is maybe something that we can see, and then we try to translate this, or we try to understand this, how we're going to shape the future of KICT students, and we also learn. We're going to learn from the survey that we have done, right? So now we have the people, which is the students, academic, and the administrative staff. And that is the area that we want to focus on. I think everyone is familiar with this, the SAF Islamization, Murabi and being Insan Sejahtera. And then we have the SAF, so we have to put SAF in action so that hopefully we will be able to see the outcome or the impact, which is the KICT graduates will be the Khalifah. And this Khalifah will be having all the characteristics, or embrace some of the characteristics from this being an Insan Sejahtera. Right? Okay, so with that idea that with that frame, how we're going to put SAF in action in KICT. So we start doing we start sort of initiating with the SAF-based review course assessment. Thank you for those who have participated. So we have reviewed 54 courses, which is about 40% of those. And then we have about 37 lecturers participated. And I would like to thank everyone. And I know that some of us has to do more than two. And I think that's brilliant. That makes you an expert for those courses, inshallah. So let me quickly share. I may not be able to share all the details, but I think I would like to give some major highlights. Okay. So in terms of familiarity and readiness, we have 53, 54 respondents. Okay, and then we have here, generally, I think based on the results that we have seen from the survey, we are already, inshallah, and generally we are familiar. Okay, we are familiar with SAF. We understand what is SAF. It is no longer. Now I think we are taking ourselves from the theoretical SAF into the action SAF or into the practical SAF. Okay. This is something interesting to highlight in my mind, because we have 66% of the respondents actually have taught the courses more than 5 times. Right? So that brings us to a point that we actually have understood well about our courses. Okay? Of course, the first timers are actually our new lecturers. Right? So if we look at into how does the course meet the objective of Maqasid Ash-Sharia, we notice that we are doing very well, or we are doing good with the intellectual, and I think this is expected. But we can see that some of our courses also relevant for religion, addressing religion, addressing life, addressing wealth, as well as addressing the lineage, right? So maybe I can share a little bit of example here. So here, when we talk about example for Maqasid, say for example, in the cryptographic system, provide protection of wealth, and also it's provide protection of private information that is maybe considered into life. So there's definitely contributing to the intellectual aspect of it. I think we have very nice example here when we talk about this course, the BCDR, to step to protect human and organization in such give priorities to the protection of life. So this is an example how we can see when we review our courses to the Maqasid, we start thinking from this perspective, right? But of course, in general, we can say that maybe the courses are not contributing to all elements or to all attributes in the Maqasid, but it contributes to one or more in the Maqasid. I think that is, to me, that is interesting and important. Okay, but of course, some of the courses does not have the direct map towards the Maqasid, but it is providing the foundations of the knowledge so that we can go to another level. Okay. How about this one? Pillar of learning contributing to the pillar of learning, which is by UNESCO. Generally, we are doing well. All the courses are contributing to learning to know, learning to do, live together, to be and to become. Right. Here is some of the examples. They learn to do development using the current technology to develop video games, for example, right? And then the field study to do the digital marketing, and to know and to do impactful sources to live together with the different perspectives. Okay, and then subject like ethics, for example, is teaching us to learning to be. Right? Some other courses, the course motivate the student to learn more. This is learning to do, learning to be. Right? This is embedded in here. And then the last one here is learning to become, transforming oneself and the society in terms of awareness of the trade and control of information security. So this is kind of interesting. I think I hope it will give us inspiration, give us an example, so that when we look at into our courses, we can see some of these elements. Okay. How about contribution to the student knowledge? Okay, I will highlight a few. So for example, here to operate, students should be able to operate major tasks of the bibliographic, so that is the skill. In terms of tools development, learning new tools for development like Unity, for example, and students are exposed to the activity of software development. So it is directly related to how the courses is actually helping the student to do the software development. And the last one here is an example on Linux programming. Is giving the student, allowing the student to learn, gain experience in applying defense, for example, right? So the example of what is done in the classes become very critical. Okay. Contribution to student educational experience beyond classroom and campus. So for example, here when we look at into the results, we have the delivery and purpose, and also we are looking at the practical and usefulness. So in delivery and purpose, we're looking into the how actually we help the student to engage creating so that it can be useful for the ummah in terms of the content that we have in the classes or in the courses. It maybe doesn't have it maybe does not give the engagement beyond the classroom, but in future maybe they can use it, okay, for future use, for example. And some of the courses maybe is merely giving the foundation, does not give any direct contribution beyond the classroom or beyond campus, but giving that fundamental knowledge. And of course, some of the courses reflected that the content that we have actually practical and useful, because they use this knowledge in internship, they can use this knowledge in other clubs that they are joining. Dr. Asma, I am good with time or I should speed up?
Yes. You can go on. Maybe
Okay.
5 more minutes.
5 more minutes, okay. So then, in terms of, I think I'm very happy and I'm very grateful that for those who have actually answered the questions, they don't have much difficulties to reflect upon pillar of learning, educational experience and so on. I think this is really reflecting that we have experience, we know what we are doing in classes. Right? So let's look at quickly on the how our courses is contributing to the to nurturing of the holistic human being. This is how we are doing with higher. I think we are all good. But IQRA here we have to work a little bit. We have to see in detail what is happening in here. But generally, our courses contributing to Rahmatan lil Alamin, to Amanah, and as well as to Khalifah. I think here maybe there is something wrong with the data. I think that one should be higher here. Okay, this is not correct. I think there's something wrong with my transfer of the data. Okay? Because generally we should be doing well on fire. Okay. This is how we do on Insan Sejahtera attribute, which is the 10 spices. Generally, I think we are doing okay, contributing well to the spiritual and all the elements in the 10 spices. But we have to look a little bit into the middle one here, where some of us actually is not sure, so that maybe we'll invite some discussion. This one is on FPK. Generally, you can see the number here, we are doing okay. But I would like to highlight where we get a lot of answers where we are not sure, or the respondent is not sure whether the course is contributing to the elements or to the characteristic or to the feature in FPK. Generally, like the first top here, the three top here, the physical, the emotional, and spiritual. And through the discussion with the dean, I think one of the things that we found out that maybe we need to learn more about the definition of each of these elements so that we can think further whether our courses really contributing to this area or otherwise. Okay. So here are some of the examples. How they, how about their reflections to higher Insan Sejahtera and the FPK. Many of them actually doesn't have difficulties, but they start looking, some of them looking at the akhlaq, amal and iman. They are looking at the role of as educator. They are looking at, how the course would contribute to insan shumul, for example, and definitely for the intellectual, I think we are there. And I kind of appreciating some of the answers because there is intention, or there is intention, or there is a need for us to seek the relevant. If it is not relevant, I think this is okay, but at least we go through that path to see whether the courses is reasonably related or connected to those indexes. Okay. And some actually try to understand the issues. I know some of the respondents really give a very comprehensive answers. They're trying to get into those elements and try to understand. And I think that made the purpose of having that particular survey, right? Some of us, some of the respondents, very positive, very helpful, and they know actually they are very positive, they are very helpful. They want to learn more, and then they even some of the respondents been communicating with us to talk about the details of the survey. Okay, this is the last part. Everyone, I think, remember about the IIUM mission. Generally, all our courses are contributing to the IIUM mission. It's not one, maybe more than one. I think you can see the number there. More than 40 courses based on the survey that we have. Right? So here is some of the example how the courses is actually addressing the IIUM mission. So for example, here the impact of the cost to humanities and Ummah at large was always emphasized. Lecturer will always instill advisors and give recommendation from the Islamic perspective, right? Also producing better quality software developers, so that is part of the mission of IIUM to make sure that the graduates that we produce having all these good quality of faith, knowledge, and good characters. This is the Khalifah that we're talking about. The transformation of our life. Some of the courses looking into this, for example, in manufacturing the automatic control machine. So this is the example of they're giving in the classes. To give clear understanding of the importance of mission and vision. Even some of our lecturers actually talk about the mission and vision in the classes. And I think that is really beautiful. And definitely the last one, our courses is actually helping to produce good leader and to prioritize, to implement good time management and preparing the inner self confidence. So this is some of the things that are actually happening in our class, right? Generally, there is no specific difficulties, even though that we know that the mission are very comprehensive. Sometimes it could be hard to map to CLO, but not necessarily all of them to be mapped. And we know that we can also link to the KICT mission and vision, because KICT mission and vision is derived from the IIM mission. And many of us, many of the respondents actually was asking that, how we can take from this theory to the practical. So this is something maybe that require for the discussion and for the sharing from the members. So overall, I think if I were to conclude from what we have done from the short survey, I think we are ready and we know how to reach out. And then I think the Kuliah also will try to reach out to the members so that we can do this together. However, there are some concerns for implementation. We need more sharing. We need more suggestion. We need more guide. And we need to see more examples. And I think this is one part of the purpose of this session, so that we can see more examples so that we can learn from it. I think, thank you very much. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Murni, for the comprehensive survey result sharing. So I would say that indirectly we already have the sejahtera element happening in our courses in the Kuliah. It's just that we want to formalize and upgrade it into a better version. So if anyone wants to listen to Dr. Murni. Any question for Dr. Murni? Okay, I guess it's okay. We can, you can post the questions. Yes?
Can I ask a question from Dr. Murni?
Yes.
Is there any other example other than this cryptography subject area? The same thing mapping which you showed now? Any other course?
There are many, Prof. So this is like kind of free. We have, I have not got into the details of the data, we already formed the members to look at into the details of the data. There are the examples.
I can suggest one thing.
Okay.
If you group these subjects, math subjects, programming subjects, like databases subjects, maybe general subject, one subject from each group, then it's easy for others to learn from it.
Okay, Prof.
You understand that?
I think that is brilliant. I think that is brilliant suggestion, so that when we do the detailed data analysis, we can group our data in that way. We can form that team. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Hassan, for your question. So I think we can proceed to the next speaker. I hope that is okay. So you can post your question given by Dr. Azlin in the chat. So I would like to invite Dr. Adriana to share how she can implement SAF in her subject Business Fundamental.
Okay. Can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we see.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Dr. Sugyasma. So my presentation is more about how I integrate SAF with the course Business Fundamentals. So this is first year subject, and just to keep in mind, I don't implement like each element of SAF, just a little brief of it. Okay, so first of all, with the SAF, I think most of us already familiar what SAF is. So for the first element is the Makasih Syariah. So for the first one, since for this course, the last topic is on the business management from Islamic perspective. So other than just providing video or learning materials regarding Islamic practice in business context, I did a discussion on Makasih Syariah based on what they learn in business. Okay, for example, like I did discussion on faith, how they can reflect the connection between Al-Quran verses and teaching of the Prophet with what they learned with the business subjects. Okay, so this is example of the discussion we did for the previous sem. So they see how faith related to business, mostly like, for example, the things that the profit and losses can become the rizki from Allah. Okay, that's the faith to Allah, right? And then in terms of life, it's focused on the business ethics and also how they can conduct a business or create a product or service that can actually protect and preserve life. Okay, this also may lead to sustainability. So this is example of the discussion on life. So from here, we can see that the things that learning about business can improve life, the future needs or help to improve, preserve our environment. Okay. And then for the intellect, I think most of it is about learning. This course is to learn about the business operation, the business services. So this is more to the knowledge. So this is an example of the discussion we did. So in intellect perspective, they see that business fundamental course increase their knowledge in the field of business, especially in business operation, business financing, and business management. And for the wealth, it's not just about creating money, it's more to create business values. Means that you need to create a business that actually meets your user needs, and also at the same time you are preserving the environment and benefiting the economy, which is more to the sustainable development goals. So again, this is example of it on the wealth, this discussion on wealth. So I think most of them think that wealth is about share wealth, what they earn from a business. You need to invest it, share it with the poor ones, or do a zakat or perform zakat or something like that. That is of wealth. And the last part on the lineage is more on ethical behavior. Learn what is Islam for followers in committing unethical business behavior. So from this one, is more on what they learn from business fundamentals and how they can transfer that knowledge to others. Or probably they can share with their parents or their family who are actually doing business, or probably they can actually share the knowledge what they learn in business fundamentals with their friends who are actually doing business, something like that. So this is what I did as part of a discussion on the last topic of business fundamental in part of Market Syariah. Okay, that's the first element of SAF. For the second one is the vision and mission. So we have 7. So the first one is integrate knowledge. I think most courses are integrating knowledge. For example, business, we are integrating Islamic values in business management. So in sustainable development, I focus on creating sustainability in business. You are not just doing a business, but you need to sustain that business. You need to benefit the triple bottom line. You need to benefit the society. You need to benefit economy and the environment. Not just the society, but you need to actually take care of the environment too. And in addition to that, actually we need to adopt business strategies that actually will protect and sustain the environment, the economy, and the society. Okay, Islamization, not just at the last topic, I did try integrate Islamic perspective in chapter 1, chapter 2. I tried to integrate it a little bit. Islamic moral spiritual values, this has been done, as I mentioned previously, on the Market Syariah, the discussion about it. International community, throughout the business course, we did integrate a little bit international level component in it. For example, how to do social marketing how to do marketing in the international level, how to do a marketing strategy in the international level. Okay, that's part of the mission. And intercultural understanding, if I'm not mistaken, this also been covered in leadership. As a leader, you need to actually understand other culture. You need to produce product and services that can meet diverse culture needs. And lastly, on the sense of social responsibility, this is how they need to think about how can they do a business that are ethical and also are meeting their community needs. Okay, so this is how this course throughout the learning material and assessment meets the IOM 7 missions. And this example of the assignment. So as you can see, I count out the green font is the IOM mission. So for this particular assignment, not all mission is being integrated in this assignment. Probably, as you can see, mission number 5, our international community, mission number 1, 6, 7, 3, and 4, and 2. Not all, but I try to integrate as many as possible. Right, so this is example of the outcome of the assignment 1. So now I think that not just in UNGS 1201, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, now in this business fundamental course also, they are aware what sustainable development is, and they can actually think how they can integrate sustainable development goals as part of their business operations. So this is the report they managed to produce. So they think about sustainable operations, they think about renewable technology, how they think about packaging and products, sustainable ways. They think about ownership, and on the right side is more to how they can meet the sustainable development goals. This is just an example of the assignment 1, sorry. Okay, so that is for the element 2 of SAF, which is vision and mission. And for the element number 3, which is UNESCO learning of pillars, so we know that learning to know, this can be done through learning materials, what we teach throughout the class. Assignments also, they learn to know how to do assignment or how to write a report, how to produce a poster, something like that. For learning to do, this one they can probably achieve it through assessment. Learning live together is probably with group assignment. They need to actually work together, agree on certain matters, collaborate with each other, and share their knowledge among each other. That's what it means of learning to live together. Learning to be is more to achieve the course learning outcome, and learning to become is also, of course, to become an entrepreneur in the future, probably a business thinker in the future, and this, I think, it can contribute to the CQI. Okay. And for the fourth element, I think for this course, we have the CLO. So this is how I map the CLO with the sub-elements, which is we have the higher, the Sejahtera. Also, I believe that this relates to SDG, the Savvy Mission, the Makassar, and the Unesco Learning of Pillars. And the other one, this one is from the course outline. So this is just for the assessment structure. So for the non-formal student life, in this course, we create like a social platform. For example, we have a Facebook, closed group Facebook, where they can collaborate to each other, especially with this online. I'm not using Facebook anymore, but I'm using Microsoft Teams, but they are actually collaborating between other groups. Okay, this is like creating a society of business fundamental course. Okay, that is part of non-formal student life. And for the 6 and 7, actually, for the 6, this one is, I believe, is quite general. Especially our teaching roles, social environments is more to the KICT support, community, their classmates, their friends, their lecturers. This is our social environment. Facilities, since we are doing online, Taklim, labs, classroom, internet is also known as facilities. Support system can become from the IT support system. The alumni can support them in terms of knowledge, probably. Student representative council, probably part of their support system too, probably in supporting their studies or well-being. I'm not sure, but that one is, I believe, is quite general. For the last element is the the NPK. Okay, so we know that this one is known as Jerry, but when you integrate with Islamic perspective, we know that, as if I'm not mistaken, Jerry Sah, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, but when I see in the Islamic perspective, it's more to integrating sustainable development, because as a Haba, Allah is a Khalifah, we need to actually become a good, responsible society. Alam sekitar is we need to preserve the environment. Social means that we need to actually benefit whatever we do. We are helping the society and contributing to the society needs. For the higher and Sejahtera, we're going to click on that. I believe that on the higher, we are focused on humanizing education. So Khalifa, through the business fundamental course, they may lead humankind to the right path of Allah, and they will set example on how Islamic practice in business operations. For amanah, not just amanah to carry out their duty as a students, to submit their assignment, to be trustworthy or to be sincere with their assignment, but they need also to be to learn how to be an ethical business person and trustworthy in conducting business. For Iqra is more to develop and share knowledge on business practice. I believe this will lead to sustainable business, because this is the aim, how the students need to create change on the business world through sustainable approach. It means that they need to benefit the society, but at the same time they need to preserve the environment, and they need to benefit the economy too. Okay, and the last one is the Sejahtera. Sejahtera, I believe it relates to the sustainable development. Now, in regards with the UNGS 1201, which is on the sustainable development, I think this is the main recipe of it. We need to benefit the 5 Ps. So I integrate these 5 Ps, which is the people, prosperity, peace, partnership, and planet, into the topics in business fundamental. So the students need to actually think in business, in conducting a business operation, in marketing, in financing. They need to think how they can benefit the people, how they can benefit the planet, how they can create partnership in international level, how they can create peace, harmony, and how they can create prosperity. Okay, so that's on SAF as overall. For the guiding principles, I think this one already been presented by Dr. Muni just now. So we have empowerment, flexibility, innovation, and accountability. So empowerment is for us as a lecturer, we can make a decision what is the best or the suitable pedagogy or assessment that meets our course. For example, like I integrate the SDG as part of the assignment. They need to think about how they can create a sustainable business. As a students, we need to allow the students have the opportunity to choose what kind of business context they can develop. Okay, probably either product or services. Either they think about IT product or fashion design. It's up to them. They also need to have a freedom to choose what activity that that they may think that can enhance their knowledge in business, such as they can organize business talk or business seminar or maybe a community engagement project. Okay, that's empowerment. Flexibility, as we know, I think with the online, we are delivering flexible learning through online teaching, blended learning. We're creating a learning space through iTalim. Consultation, we need to be flexible on that. For some students, they're probably too shy when asking questions during the class time, but probably we can create consultations probably like beyond the office hour, probably like that. Team teaching, since business fundamentals have, I believe, 2 or 3 lectures. So team teaching is not just we are organizing what the lecturers is teaching with the section, but we actually need to support each other. For example, if I'm not available to consult this particular student on Thursday, for example, but the other lecturers, probably Dr. Zaida or whatever, or Dr. Hayani can replace me to consult that particular students. So this is part of the support that we need to integrate as part of the teaching flexibility. As part of innovation, we have social innovation. We are focusing on discussing on how to develop a new or sustainable business ideas. Innovation also relates to online platforms such as iTalim, the use of MS Teams, and lastly is the accountability. We need to be accountable for the success and failure of assessment. We need to understand why the students are not performing well, why the students are performing well. We need to understand the level of difficulty of the assessment that we gave based on the level of competency of the students of that particular class. Okay, so I think that's all from me on how I can actually integrate some business fundamentals. So I think, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adriana. So I think that's a very excellent way how you actually map all the SAF elements into your course. So anyone wants to ask a question to Dr. Adriana?
Yeah, maybe I have. Can I ask or suggest something? Yeah.
Yes,
Can I?
Yes, Paul.
Yeah, I think we have to consider, in addition to assessment, the other 2 components in each course: measurement methods as well as evaluation methods, where we give the final grades and kind of things. Whether it is a quantitative or it is a semantic meaning to those grades and so on. And what we have at the moment is we have a set of assessment methods, like we have assignments, we have projects and so on. Is it any foundation that we have basically given 30% to projects, which is a group project, 15% to assignment, 10% to presentation, maybe 10 to case studies, because we don't have mid and end exam. Now we say assessment, but still we do. which is a kind of a summative assessment at the end. So is there any foundation that we just put this person to that person to that person to that person? This is one thing. This is question number one. The other question is, since we have now a framework, do we really measure framework through these methods, or we don't do it? We just do it because we have to assess the course. I guess that we have now this Yatra framework, which meaning that we need to measure all those individual components of this framework through our assessment methods. And how can we do that? Have we considered that?
If I'm not mistaken, I think I discussed it with Dr. Muni. With the SAF, not all, for example, not all subjects can achieve each element of SAF. Okay, for example, I found that it's difficult in web technologies because that one is more to coding. So I cannot integrate all SAF elements in there, but I can create awareness on SDG, which is trying to create an instance subject for that. I don't think we need to really for example, quiz 1 need to achieve all elements of SAF, quiz 2, assignment 1 needs to be achieved everything of it. I don't think we need to do that. But I think the best answers probably you can get it from Prof. Hub. I don't think I have to explain that yet.
I think what we need to do is, I have one suggestion that since we have already done it this time, can anybody have a study of certain number of courses and really go through that what methods we have done, assessment methods, what is the measurement we basically, how do we measure those assessment methods, and how do we reflect it as the final grading, which is evaluation. And we can have a study which is based upon our research work. Then we can really guide through. All others are the same course teacher that you should amend and modify, because I understand that not all students in our class is having the same capability so that they can be assessed on the same method. Similar way, cannot. Because we have 40 students coming from different backgrounds. So if we say assignment, all students do assignment may not be equally good to do it. Or like a quiz, for example, they may not be equally good to do it. Okay, so we need to know exactly how we can maneuver this assessment and fit into the measurement as well as evaluation through this study, which will guide us better. A personal experience of somebody is fine. If somebody is very well experienced in this one, there will be an additional point we can consider. But can we do some kind of research on it? So, for example, you study 30 courses which have been taught. We go through the assessment methods. We go through the measurement methods. We go through the evaluation methods and come back and see that we can really change this proportion of measurement, mode of serving this assessment and then measuring them. In certain courses, it may be a different proportion to one of the assessment method than other course, kind of things, you know. You understand it?
Yep.
Maybe it's just a suggestion to consider. And then finally, we need to map this all through what we found through our research and study with this Sajatra framework. I think that would be a very practical way of doing it, that way. Not really experiencing again and changing it again and again. Maybe we will have a foundation once we do a research work. We can publish that work also.
Can I share something?
Yes, please.
I think taking lead from what you have just raised, Prof. I think my own reflection. I think when I first learned about the SAF framework, the past few semesters, probably almost 2 years. At the beginning, I kind of feel a bit overwhelmed, and it creates a lot of anxiety within me when I look at the framework. Even though I really like the framework, and it has added to my understanding about how the university vision and mission, which always appear in a very abstract form, to become more visible, and and can be used as a guide in terms of achieving those specific vision and mission. But in terms of when it comes to trying to implement the SAF framework in a particular course that we're teaching, there's a lot of anxiety that I experienced at the beginning. But I think after understanding more and listening to many of the webinars and also this kind of series that our Kuliah is organizing, slowly it settled in me in a sense that we don't have to actually be concerned about everything that must be incorporated in our course and that it must be assessed in our course, because I think the framework is meant for the entire experience of the students from the time when they enter into university until they graduate. So which means signing up for a particular course is just one event in their experience of studies. But there are a lot of other things that they will learn by interacting with their peers, learn when interacting with the staff, and then there are also other specific programs and events that the university is also organizing. For example, like now the university is coming up with Usrah in Actions and a lot of other initiatives. The flagship, which not everyone must be involved, even though everyone is encouraged. So in other words, there will be bits and pieces within the framework which is relevant to us, where we have to probably consider and think more seriously in terms of how we incorporate and design it in our instructional delivery, and also design a way to assess them. But I don't think we have to really try to incorporate everything in our course. I mean, this is what I'm trying to be at peace with, so that I can reduce my anxiety, because I know there are a lot of other parts of the framework which will be taken care by other components in the university. So there will be something that will be direct in the teaching and learning, but there are also a lot of things where the experience is acquired through indirect activity that the student will go through. So co-curriculum and other things, I think every parts of the university is actually trying to address the framework. So I think for our course, we probably will just do what I think is right, that we can support wherever the framework is relevant in our course, so that I think we can be at peace with it.
Thank you, Prof. Rahman. Prof. Wahab, you want to say something?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, Prof.
Okay, can I suggest maybe we go through all the talk first, and then after that, because the discussion is getting really interesting, or else we cannot finish the talk. Can we do that and listen to everybody first?
Okay, sure, Prof. Right. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you to Prof. Asad and Prof. Rahman for the valuable comments and suggestions. So I think we should move to the next speaker. So I want to invite Dr. Aznan to share his talk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Siti Asma. First of all, I would like to apologize. I cannot turn on my camera. My camera is not working. So, okay, let me share. Okay, can everyone see the document I'm sharing? I think it's already appearing there.
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I didn't make a PowerPoint slide because while I was preparing for the presentation, eventually I ended up with a lot of things which I'm not sure how to summarize them. So I think I'll just share everything, and maybe the others can give feedback on this. Okay. So I'll be presenting for the SAF for the course on cyber law and ethics. Okay, so before I continue with the mapping, I'll just maybe some brief introduction about the course. Okay, so this course is a homegrown course of KICT. Okay, meaning that it is developed by the Kuliah. Okay, for the purposes that we want to achieve for our students. So originally this course was known as Cyber Law and Islamic Ethics for our bachelor in MIS students, but when we developed the BIT program, okay, so it was a change to Cyber Law and Ethics, okay. So the word Islamic there is not there in the course title, okay. But it is very much a part of the component of the course, okay, because basically this course is for the BIT students, okay, to have some understanding about laws relating to ICT matters. So this would be useful for their personal as well as a professional use later on when they graduate. Okay. And in addition to that, it also looks into these issues from the Sharia perspective. So basically, we are relating cyber law with the Sharia. Okay, the focus is on Malaysian cyber law because that is how we study law. Okay, even in ICOL, all the law that is studied is basically the law in Malaysia. Okay, so if let's say if you go and study law in UK, you will study law of UK. If you go to India, likewise, and so on. Okay, but the thing about law is that once you have understood the law of a country, it will be easy for the student to adapt. If let's say they are non-Malaysian, to see how or to understand the law of their own country, because the general concepts are more or less the same. Okay. In addition, there are several international level guidelines which have been produced, for example, by the European Union and so on. So this also actually has already been incorporated into the Malaysian laws. Okay, this course is taken by students in level 3 second semester and level 4 first semester. Or there might be a few students in level 3 first semester who also take this course. So this course requires students to have taken a substantial amount of ICT courses, so that when they take this course, they would be able to know how the law is relating to the different elements of the IT areas. The main challenge of this course is to introduce a subject matter which is law to the ICT students, which they are not familiar with this. So normally the lecturers would spend some time on the basics or the fundamentals before focusing on the cyber law aspect. Okay, let me proceed with the mapping. Okay, when I was doing the mapping, eventually when it was completed, I became a bit overwhelmed. So I'm not really sure whether I'm doing this accurately or not. Okay, maybe those who are more expert in the staff can give feedback later on. So if you can see there, the course learning outcome ticks almost all the boxes, except for course the third course learning outcome, it doesn't match with the SDG. We will see to that later. Okay, so let's go to the details. Okay, so for the first course learning outcome, which is to explain the various legal issues related to information technology. So meaning that what are the issues that is in IT, and how and the related how the different issues in ICT that are related to law. Okay, so we because this yellow is to focus on the issues itself. Okay, before we go into the law. Okay, so basically the mapping is being done based on the staff attributes. Okay, higher is instance sejahtera, vision, mission, maqasid, UNESCO learning pillar, and SDG. Okay, so for the higher, okay, it looks into IQRA, okay, meaning to provide knowledge on these different issues. Okay, for same thing goes for the instance sejahtera jari khas. Okay, so on the intellect, so developing the intellectual potential of the students in cyber law. For the vision and mission, basically I personally believe that the CLOs should map with all CLOs should map with the university's main vision. Because when I read the vision, it mentions about all branches of knowledge and everything. So I think that the CLOs should all CLOs should match with the vision. More specifically, for the mission 4, holistic excellence, in the sense that the students will know both about ICT and cyber law. Okay, maqasid also focusing on intellect. and UNESCO learning pillar also learning to know, because this is to know the issues. Okay, and SDG. Okay, so in SDG there is one SDG that is specifically focusing on justice. So that is SDG 16. Okay. Right. Okay. Moving on to the second CLO, which is describing the laws that govern the information technology. So now the students are expected to know about the law itself. Okay. So in this case, looking at the khair. So for the aspect of the Khalifah, because the Khalifah is perform the task of management, administration, and leadership. So they should know the law. Amanah, okay, so meaning that being trustworthy, I mean, by knowing the law, they should be able to act in a trustworthy manner. And Iqra, meaning that they will be knowledgeable in the law that is needed by them. Okay, same thing for the Insan Sejahtera, so focusing on the intellect, okay, the developing intellectual potential. For the mission on mission 4, again, holistic excellence for both areas. And for the maqasid, preserving the intellect so that they will be able to understand about the cyber law aspects. UNESCO learning pillar, besides learning to know, also learning to be, meaning to foster their personal development in making good judgment and with responsibility after knowing the law. And again, SDG would be the SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Okay. Okay, the third CLO is to compare between the Western and Islamic perspective on the issues of cyber law. Okay, so for Khair, okay, as the Khalifah, they should know about both conventional and the Islamic cyber law. Okay, and Iqra also in developing the knowledge on this. For Insan Sejahtera, spiritual, so when they are able to make the comparison between the Islamic and the conventional law, so the spiritual development hopefully can be developed in this sense. For the mission and vision, so mission 1 and 2 is related to integration, so that is related to this CLO, and also mission 3, which is Islamization, also related to this CLO as well. For the maqasid, okay, in preserving the religious faith, when learning and practicing cyber law from the Islamic perspective, and also developing the intellect in understanding both perspective of the law. And for the UNESCO learning pillar, learning to become, so hopefully they will be able to transform themselves and the society when it comes to the cyber law from the Islamic perspective, meaning not just only knowing about the law, but also when they know about it from the Islamic perspective, they would be able hopefully to make this transformation. And for the SDG nil, this is the one that was mentioned just now, because as we know, the SDG does not focus on aspect relating to religion or spiritual aspect. So that is why our university wants to propose the SDG 18. Okay, because now we only have 17. Okay. So for the 4 CLO, to apply the principles of cyber law in daily life, so I mean that once they have got the knowledge, then should they be able to apply this in their daily life. So for Khair, okay, as the Khalifah, they should be able to use this when they perform their duties as the Khalifah. Okay, for Iqra, okay, to spread this knowledge about cyber law when they practice it or when they apply it, and Rahmatan lil Alamin. So when applying the cyber law, hopefully they will be able to affect changes in the society with their knowledge. For Insan Sejahtera, the intellectual development, okay, and also the social developing the intellectual and the social potential, okay, when applying the cyber law based on what they have learned. For the mission, vision and mission, okay, so vision 4, again for the holistic excellence when having both knowledge about cyber law and IT, and also for vision 7, commitment for lifelong learning and deep sense of social responsibility when applying the law in daily situation, meaning once what they have learned, they will be able to apply this even after they graduate. Okay, for the maqasid, preserving the religious faith when applying the cyber law, okay, in faith-related situations, intellect, preserving the intellect, and also wealth, preserving the wealth. So in the different aspects, when applying the cyber law, they'll be able to safeguard or preserve these different aspects of the maqasid. Okay, for the UNESCO learning pillar. Okay, so learning to do, okay, to applying what they have done, what they have learned, to learning to be, meaning to be able to act with good judgment and responsibility, and learning to become, to transform oneself and society by applying cyber law. Okay, and for the SDG, okay, so in this CLO, I see it might be mapping with for 3 SDGs, which is number 4, quality education in promoting lifelong learning. So when after they graduate, they will even be able to make use of what they have learned. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. So meaning when they apply this within their professional practices, either they work with a company or when they set up their own business, for example, so they'll be able to make use of this knowledge. And SDG 16, in building a peaceful and just society when they are applying the law that they have learned. Okay, and lastly, the last CLO, which is evaluate situations commonly encountered in dealing with information technology from the legal perspective. This means that if they come across any situation or context, they will be able to evaluate that situation based on what they have learned. Okay, so for the the Khalifa, again, they will be able to make this evaluation as a leader. Okay, and for Rahmatan Alamin, by making this evaluation, hopefully they will be able to provide changes in the society. For the Insan Sejahtera on the intellectual development, meaning they will be able to develop the intellectual potential in doing the evaluation process. For the mission and vision, for mission 4, again, holistic excellence, okay, to evaluate the IT situation from the legal perspective, and commitment for lifelong learning, this meaning that they continue to make use of what they have learned. For the maqasid, okay, for the faith, intellect, and wealth, okay, preserving the faith, preserving the intellect, preserving the wealth when conducting or when doing the evaluation of the situations from the legal perspective. UNESCO learning pillar, okay, so learning to do, to apply what they have learned, learning to be, to evaluate with good judgment and responsibility, and learning to become. When making the evaluation, hopefully they will be able to make some transformation in themselves and also in the society. And lastly, for the SDG, so the 3 similar SDG, quality education, so promoting lifelong learning, because they still continue to make use of what they have learned. Decent work and economic growth, okay, using this within their professional practices, okay, and SDG 16, in building a peaceful and just society and institution according to the principle. According to the cyber laws. Okay, and last but not least are the assessment methods. Okay, so we have exercises as a revision for the topics that they have done. Okay, so this is the mapping based on the SAF index. Okay, meaning they would have to do or revise the topics in order to answer the exercises. Okay, for the group assignment, okay, for Khair Rahmatan Alamin, treating group members in a good way. For Insan Sejahtera on the social aspect, so they will be able to develop their social potential when working in groups. Mission and vision, mission number 2, interacting with group members with good akhlaq. Maqasid, for the maqasid on the intellectual element, preserving the intellectual element by having intellectual discussions with group members. And for the UNESCO learning pillar, learning to live together, okay, because they are doing the assignment in group. And for the SDG, aligning the assignment with SDG 16. Okay, there is the test or the midterm test. Okay, so Khair, Amanah in answering the test, and for preparing for the test. Same thing for the intellectual under Insan Sejahtera for mission and vision. Mission 2, strengthening the iman when answering test, meaning being truthful. Okay, having their iman, remembering about that when answering the test, and also Islamization with regards to the questions that are being asked, because the topics that would touch on the Sharia perspective. Okay. Maqasid, the intellect in preparing for the test, and UNESCO learning pillar, learning to know and also learning to be, meaning be able to have good judgment when answering the test. This is also similar for the final exam, okay, for the Khair, Insan Sejahtera, Vision, Maqasid, and also the UNESCO learning pillar. So that is all from me, okay. So I welcome any feedback from other members. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.
Salam. Thank you, Dr. Asnan. So I think we just proceed to the last speaker before we open for questions at the end. So I would like to invite Dr. Rawat for his presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Asma. So let to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Actually, I was worried about how to implement these numbers, which is the math to the SAF. But Alhamdulillah, I got something to share with you, and hope to be benefits for us, inshallah. So I will present the math, the SAF in the course of mathematics for computing 2. First, I will show some introduction of the math. Always, I share with my students that you have to know that the aim is to seek knowledge, not only to get certificate or mark or that. So when we focus to understand the knowledge, so this mark will automatically comes to you. I inform them that math is not only calculating variables, numbers, and get result and writing only on the paper. So you have to understand for what we can use this equation in our life. So what are the benefits from this equation, from this topic? Then we can link the math to the revealed knowledge or courses. If we will see, most of the students, they understand that the math is only a calculation of numbers to get the correct result. But actually, the math helps us to achieve human interest, benefits, and solve problems in different walks of the life. And I show them that we use the math every day. Use of the math in daily life, we use it in for example, in Salah, in our Salah, we have to calculate, know which time we have to do the Salah, how many rak'at, how many Salah we have in the every day. Also in shopping to calculate the price, how much this item. Also in dieties for this one, diet. Also in time in, time out, we use it as stuff in KICT or IUM. We have to calculate our time, salary, activities. Even in the kitchen, in the end, we use the math, how much grams, how many liters, and so that means the math is everywhere and every day. That's what I show my students to understand, to understand how to implement or to link the math to the SAF. So since we have the math is everywhere and every day, is there any relevance between math and Islamic value? We have to know that we have many Muslim mathematician scientists like the Al-Baryuni, Al-Khwarizmi, Omar Khayyam, Al-Khwarizmi, where we use the algorithm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. Allah will raise those who were given knowledge by degrees. And also, if I will show first general example in math, to show what is the benefits and for this equation of this topic. The example is the weight equation. Weight equation, that means we have to know the weight. What we when we buy something, we have to know the weight. So the weight is kilograms. But what is the kilogram? From where? From the equation of the weight. That means we have to, we use the math here, the equation of the weight, which is the mass times the gravitational. Here, how we can link this one to the SAF or to be benefits for the Islamic value. if we will see in Surah Al-Mutaffifin, the borders, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيْلٌ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ. Who to the borders? Who is the borders? Who cheat people, reduce the weight. How we can know this weight is correct? How we can know this, the price will be correct for this weight? Because we have to use the waiter, and in the waiter, they use the equation of the weight. All we have their mathematics equation. So how we can link this math to this equation, weight equation, to the this one, the SAF? We can link it to the akhlaq, to the amana, because we have to achieve the amana here to be correct, the correct weight and correct price. We have to calculate, and also we can link it to the iman. Also, we can link it to the trust, which is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَ أَنْ يَحْمِلْنَهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala offered the trust to the heavens, to the earth, to the mountains, but they refused it, because we have to take care about the amana, this amana. And also about injustice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ مُهْلِكِي الْقُرَى حَتَّى يَبْعَثَ فِي أُمِّهَا رَسُولًا يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِنَا وَمَا كُنَّا مُهْلِكِي الْقُرَى إِلَّا وَأَهْلُهَا ظَالِمُونَ. The meaning here, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never destroyed these cities unless their people are wrongdoers. So we have to think about the rights of the wrongdoers of the people, and the trust and injustice. So where we can here link the weight equation to this component, the section, first to the khair. So can link it to can achieve the amana, can link it to the iqra, because we have to learn rahmatan lil alamin. This will be rahmah for the people. That's when they sell it, or they get the correct weight and correct price. Also, we can link it to the integration, because we can link to the math, this equation, to the the Islamic value, Islamization, internationalization, can use it, Muslim and non-Muslim, the SDG, quality education, economic growth, also justice, learning to know, learning to do. So we have to learn to know this, the way, learning to do, also learning to live together. We have also insan setajara, where we have intellectual servant of Allah. Maqasid Sharia, religion, whereas we have the deen, we have here intellectual intellect, where aql, and we have to think. The wealth, also we have here money. So let's now to see the our SAF, the SAF in our course in KICT, computing mathematics for computing 2. We have here 4 learning outcomes, and I summarize them here, which is they are the derivative, integral, and series and parametric equation. We will see if we can link the learning outcomes to the SAF. The first one is the derivative. Always I give for my students some example, some application of this topic of the derivative. For example, one of the most important application of the derivative is the optimization. Like this question, minimize the cost of highway construction. So we have here, we need to construct bridge from this point to another point. So we have to find the low cost and high quality to construct this bridge from this one to this point, from point to another point. So we use the optimization here, the derivative, and then we get the result, the good result for the low cost, and in which point can cross this way using the derivatives, where we can here link these derivatives to the SAF. Derivative, here we can achieve, using the derivative, we can achieve the itqan, perfect work, and ihsan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُلْ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَى اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولَهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Work, and Allah will see you work, and you will reward. Allah will reward you in the akhirah, hasanat and ajr, in muhasabah. In hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى يُحِبُّ إِذَا عَمِلَ أَحَدُكُمْ عَمَلًا أَنْ يُتْقِنَ. Allah loves someone who, when works, he performs it in perfect manner. So perfect work. Also, we can link it to the amana, to the justice. So derivatives can be linked to the amana, to iqra, rahmatan lil rahma, because when we construct the way, maybe it will help people to move to go to the work, to hospital, mosques, missions, integration. We link the derivative to the Islamic period, Islamization under the rule of Islamic, internationalization. Also, we can use this derivative Muslim and non-Muslim. And SDG will improve the education, economic growth, also industry. We have an innovation here, also life on the land. What I mean here, we can link these derivatives or our law in each. We can find in each section one or two elements or more. Learning to know, learning to do. Also, we have to learn here and to do it and live together. Intellectual environment, here we have it, we achieve the or link it to the environment, intellect, also wealth. If we see the second, the most important to show the student how to link this, our course, our learning outcome to the SAF, give them example and application, and to see where the benefits of this equation or this math in our life. So for example, here if in the integral, one of the application of the integral to find the area between curves. If we have to find the area for circle or rectangle or square, is okay. We have formula. It is also math. But what about if we have like this shape, very complicated shape to calculate or the area? The integral is the best method to find the correct result for, or the correct area for this, like this shape. Okay, like this, for example, the area we have like this shape. How it's difficult to find it using some or normal equation of the square and circle and. But the integral will help the student to find the area here. Okay, where we can use this one or can get benefits here in mu'amalat. Integral can be linked in mu'amalat. We have the surah in the verses of the inheritance in Surah An-Nisa, where is the siblings inherited from parents. So we have to they have get what their parts from distribution of the inheritance, how much area will be, and how they can calculate the area and calculate also the what the this for each one of them the area. For example, 6th, 8th, 7th, and so here we have to find the area. Then we to find the area we have to use what the integral. So here we can link the integral to the amana, to injustice, because you will give the right, their rights for the people, and we have to do achieve the amana here and injustice. So this all we have the same of the ayat of the amana and of the of the injustice. So we can also link it to the amana, to the iqra rahmatal alamin. We have here similar like the derivatives and like the weighted equation. I want to move also to the to the third one series here. Series also we have the application of the series when we calculate the increasing the increase of the salary increment. So we have employee or staff, they got every year increasing of the salary, how much. So they have to calculate how much for 8 years, for some period, for 10 years, for this from the financial division. They have to to calculate this one, to do the amana, to give the people their money, where we can link this one series to the SAF. We can link it to the justice, to the iman in the last day. Why in the last day? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la ta'kulu amwalakum bainakum bil batil. Oh, who believe, don't consume each others with illicitly. Because وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ عُدْوَانًا وَظُلْمًا فَسَوْفَ نُصْلِيهِ نَارًا. Whoever does that, we will cast him into a fire. So to not consume people's wealth injustice, we have to use calculation. to use the calculation, we use the math equation, unlike this series, and we can link it to this. So series can be also linked to the Khalifa, because here we have a leader, and to the Amana, to the Iqra, Rahmat al-Alamin, Rahmat to not consume the people's wealth, and integration, Islamization, internationalization, can use Muslim and non-Muslim to improve the education, the quality of the quality for the economic growth, in justice, also justice, learning to know, emotional, social, also intellect and wealth. So can link for each section or component 1 or 2 or 3 elements. The last one, LO4, parametric equation. We have to understand the concept of parametric equation. So when we see what is the application of the parametric equation help us to draw the complicated shapes like these shapes. So where we can use these shapes, like the beautiful shapes here. So if you see in the design dome for the mosque dome design, we have to they draw the or construct the dome in beautiful view. So what they use here, they use the parametric equation. Now, how much they will get agar who construct these shapes and use the parametric equation to find or to get like this mosque cube. To people they go to pray there and get ajr and hasanat, and also do the amana, who to measure all this architecture for the building, and so parametric equation can link to the iman, building a beautiful house in Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا يُعَمِّرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. So the only people to attend God's places who believe in God and the last day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. Whoever does small things in good way, so he will see it. He will get ajr. He will get hasanat in muhasabah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man bana lillahi masjidan, bana Allahu lahu mithlahu fil jannah." Whoever builds a mosque for the sake of Allah, Allah will build something similar for him in paradise. So we can also link here the parametric equation to the amana, to do the amana here, to achieve the amana, to correct the measure for the mosque, to build the dome, also ikra, to learn rahmat al-alamin, to be rahmat, to go to the mosque and get hasanat, rahmah for people, integration, Islamization, also quality education, industry. We have it also we have here the learning to know, learning to do, intellectual servant of Allah, social also, in insan sitajira, maqasid sharia, religion and intellect. What I mean here, we can any knowledge here, we can get benefits for people, and when we get benefits for people, that's you will get ajr and hasanat, and you can find one element at least in one section of those of the SAF. In the end, we have implement all the SAF on our course Mathematics for Computing. We found all of the component or the section of the higher insan sitajira mission, Maqasid Sharia, Unesco, SDG. I have analyzed them here. We have here LO1, LO2, LO3, LO4. Then we have the component of the elements of the SAF. So for each column, for each LO1, yes, no, yes, no. So this for the mapping course learning outcomes. Also this one for the SCDG. For the assessment method, we have it here. I plan to give the student project group to find for each CLO application for integral, derivatives, parametric equation, and the series, and link it, find proof from Quran or Hadith Sunnah to link to the SAF. Then we will collect many applications and many verses and Hadith from the Quran and Sunnah. This also the mapping process assessment method, because we have here in this one the project we have LO2. So the others, the assignment, quizzes, and final assessment, I have they have same LO, so 1, 3, 4. Then so the project LO2 from that's the first analysis. For the assessment quizzes, final assessment, I get I took the union from the LO1, LO3, LO4. Then I got this one, the analysis. Okay, in the end, we can conclude that the knowledge have benefits for humanity, and Allah reward anyone who deliver benefits for the others. This is the end. Thank you very much, and I am sorry if I missed something, and I don't know it's okay or not okay. So you will help us to or you support us. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam. Thank you, Dr. Rawat. So we have another maybe 20 minutes before end of this talk. So anyone wants to ask question to the panels, or maybe to the other Kuliah members, maybe, or to give suggestion?
Maybe I can suggest something if I'm allowed.
Okay, sure, Prof.
Usually we are talking about assessment methods, and there are so many types of them. And we have not mentioned which type of assessment methods we are doing. Generally, they are summative and formative, whereas there are other methods also. But I think we are doing basically mostly the summative methods. These are not formative as such. I don't know. Can we classify them in our course that these are summative only, or summative and formative together? And then we need to have a proper execution in that case. This is my suggestion. Allah Allah.
Okay, thank you, Prof. How about Prof? How do you want to say anything?
Yeah, inshallah.
It seems that many concerns on the how to monitor, to measure the SAF, Prof.
Yeah, okay. Inshallah. I think fundamentally, in our course outline, we have always neglected the philosophy behind the course. Example like Rawat in your case, I remember that in Waterloo, every course, especially in maths, most important is we need to know the philosophy behind the maths. You see, because if you understand the philosophy behind the maths and why we teach that particular maths, then the whole thing comes together very nicely. It's not just the CO or the CLO or the PLO, because that becomes important and critical. But I think here in Malaysia, our focus is more on the O, the outcome, So, but I think as a lecturer, as a professor, you are all called professor, even though you're assistant professors, associate professors, you are still professors, because your professor title is there, so you cannot run away. And because of that, you as a professor, you should be able to profess. In other words, you should be able to introduce, we should be able to introduce the philosophy behind whatever that we want to do. Correct? I think that becomes critical. Now, bearing that in mind, that is why whatever that we want to do in the end, example are assessment. You know and I know there are two basic assessments that we do. One is the continuous assessment. We do continuous assessment because we want to know how much the student absorbs as far as the knowledge that we have to be transferred to them. So that this continuous assessment, which is done every week or every 2 weeks, whatever it is, at least we know that, we need to correct it because our student this particular cohort of students are very different than the previous one. We will never have a same cohort every time. So do not penalize, either the professors or the student, because, their results in the end at the final assessment is very poor, or everybody gets A, So therefore, in this case here, we need to have that continuous assessment becomes important and critical. So basically, why do we have final assessment? The final assessment is basically to tell the student how well they have done, correct? Because in this case here, what they are saying is that, hey, student, during the continuous assessment, I noticed that most of you have done very well. You understand. Now I'm going to twist my question, not have the same question at the final, to see how your mind actually thinks. In this particular case, like what Rawat was saying, hey, if I twist it, and now I'm going not to talk about the strength of the bridge, but I'm going to talk about how you can optimize the bridge so that we can save money. Example, So therefore, in this case here, we are going to twist and see how our student think. So in all this context, what we are doing is we are putting everything together in the SAF framework. And in that SAF framework is that what we are looking at is the program. As far as the program is concerned, the program must have everything. There may be something missing. So during our review process, we are going to take a look at it seriously. Maybe we find that, hey, every semester, maybe we need one particular course which we call project, for example, project. In other words, students will integrate all this and they will work as a team. Example. So therefore, we encourage them teamwork, we encourage all this, the Falsafah Pendidikan Kebangsaan, the national education policy and so forth, and then everything will be in place because now they're going to apply whatever they learn, on those various models. So therefore, in this case here, what bottom line one is that students don't cheat. They don't lie anymore. Okay, because they want to do it, because they really enjoy doing it, and they want to do it because of the knowledge they gain, and in the end, they want to make sure that the ummah at large can benefit. I think if we can reach that, yes, then I think we have succeeded in the education system. It's not just one course, but it should be the whole entire integrated course that we're talking about. In other words, we have to be responsible for all the courses. I mean, focusing on the course that we are teaching, but at the same time also that we know at the back of our mind, hey, we have all these other courses that is going to relate to how the end of it is going to be. And that's the SAF. So therefore, in the end, I think if we list everything, we list everything that we have here, that we talk about. For example, I give an example in the Falsafah, we talk about just money. Just money is Arabic, right? So we talk about physical. Now, in physical, how? I mean, our class, like you teach maths, how does physical come into being? It's going to be tough. When physical means that, hey, we encourage them to do exercise, we encourage them to do this and that, So therefore, in this case here, it has to be the total approach. One of the approach in the physical could be that our project itself will have something that our student will have to go through the community engagement. Example. So therefore, in this case here, yes, there are physical things that we have to put it into place. But is it going to be in maths? Maybe not. Is it going to be in the digital system? Maybe not. So therefore, in this case here, it has to be all integrated. So that is why I think what we have to bear in mind, whatever that we do in the CQI, like what Idrina was mentioning, whatever that we do in the CQI is something that is going to measure for who? For us to know whether, hey, this is something that is correct or not. This is something that I want to achieve in my course. It is not for the kuliah, it is not for anybody else, The auditor can say whatever they want, but they may not know even what is going on. Correct. Don't we be afraid of the auditors and say, oh, auditors, we are going to tell the auditors off. Hey, you are not teaching the subject, you do not know what's going on. I think that's the fundamental, you know. So we have to be strong enough to say that we know exactly what we want to do. I think that's important. Rather than everything, oh no, you know, we are afraid of this. No, I don't think so. Most important is us. You know, we have to know what exactly we want to do, what exactly we want our student to be as a murabbi. Are we going to achieve that? Remember, you are the professors, you know. Yes, Asad, you want to say something?
Yeah. I want to just add what you said is, but the problem which I realize is that the methods which we have basically already defined in our course are basically fixed. So assuming that we have a group and we want to teach them, whereas these methods are already fixed for this group to be assessed, maybe we do formative as well as summative together. But when we do formative and we found that one of the methods is not really good for the particular cohort, so do we have a substitute instead of just fixing them? Say, for example, presentation. Okay, maybe students are shy in the group, the whole cohort, they really don't make it really good. Do we have a substitute for a presentation? Can we put it rather than make it fixed so that they present at the end of the day, they fail to present the properly? Maybe we can say live discussions, for example, and we give some marks. And live, we feel that students are very shy, they cannot do it. Can we have some offline discussion? Can we
So let me put it this way, Asad. As far as Dr. Lihana and the group is concerned, he wants us to put something as flexible as we can.
Yes.
That is why we don't use final exam anymore. We use final assessment.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Why? Yeah, because we want to make sure that it is flexible enough that it gives the advantage to the professor, you know, to look at the different cohort, like we said, you know, and maybe we want to blend in, you know, so therefore that is why we do it in that particular manner. So I think the university at that level has given us enough flexibility. I think we want to have that flexibility, you know, so as we go along, we improve on it. You know?
I think for final assessment, we are very much agree with that because final assessment, so there is no such, and we have a big choice. Correct. We can give some kind of open book, this and that. Also, some this is fine, no problem. It's the problem with the formative part. Formative, if we can somehow adjust and say slash some and some, slash some and some, you know, not fix it. Fixing it causes a problem. 20%, for example, on assignment 1, and we don't have a choice to give only assignment 1 to get them assessed on it. Maybe we can have experimental assignment, we have written assignment, we can have all those varieties if we add.
And that is why in your course outline, you can put in as flexible as you want, you know?
Yeah.
Just making sure that the flexibility will create a consistency, that's all.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think once we have that, then I think we are okay in that particular manner.
Yeah.
Correct. Zul, correct me, Zul.
Yes, Prof. I agree. So, but basically, I also understand the concern of Prof. Akhtar, in the sense that he has things that need to be addressed. But in the view of that, like Prof. Wahab was saying, as far as the university is concerned, we make it flexible. We do allow any kind. I think, for example, like Prof. Akhtar case just now, you can discuss with the group members teaching the same subjects and all that, and hopefully the best way. And I think like the key is flexibility there. And course outline is not everything. We can use any tool. And I would like to emphasize a bit on course outline. Actually, it's a course outline, it's an outline. So details may not be there. Actually, this is why in the course outline you can make it very general, generic. Okay, and there are other tools. For example, teaching plan and all that. Although, and I think in our opinion, we will not make it compulsory. But again, that is just to allow everybody to use any tools. Those are tools. So that's again referring to what Prabhupada was saying. In case if the auditor asks and all that, if you have all the information, the justification, then it should be okay.
Yeah.
Because as far as the university is concerned, if you achieve what you want to achieve, based on the philosophy and all that, then it's okay. So I quite like the idea of emphasizing flexibility. Because as far as the university is concerned, we a lot of flexibility as long as it follows the general guideline of the university. So you can actually do anything you want as long as it meets the objective, and you understand everything. In any case that we have been audited and all that, we should be able to answer it. Yeah, I think, and also I think what from what we're saying is the whole thing. The thing is that the ministry saying that we should go for the OBE. So that is why we have all the old outcome based. So, but then of course, if it's just to say that it's just part of the element. Okay? And in fact, if the outcome based also is really good. And what we're saying that now we need to know what we have to do, what would be good to do. Those are the philosophy of outcome based. Yeah. But I think I would like to say that there are a lot of opportunities here. And again, from what we're saying, we are professors, regardless, it's eternal, a professor. We have the chance to fully make use of the best tools possible. That's why as far as English, I said you have the course outline, and the keyword there is outline. So it's just a frame. The actual feeling is the outline. So we have a lot of flexibility there that we can do. So perhaps after this, I think there will be like sub-discussions and all that. So I think we can pursue on that. I think like for us ideas and all that can pursue in the future discussions. Yeah. So yeah, I think go for it, flexibility, and that's why in any cases you can really try to propose anything. Then we can discuss. There are many tools out there. The university said that compulsory to come up with the course outline. Other than that, you can use any tools. Different schools have different tools to support, to have all the details for the course outline. And again, of course, with staff and all that, we are talking about implementation and assessment. Again, assessment also will give the ability. It doesn't mean that everything has to be assessed in the mark. It can be assessed in many ways. Like, for example, like according to the Rawat, based on the assignment, the calculation and all that, student can still gain something. That by all means, they can just read. So it's a very open world out there. Encourage creativity. Don't read it, and then discuss and propose. I think that's on my sikit. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost time. So I just want to throw one question to the panelists, or maybe especially the speakers who already implemented the SAF. So there's one question asking where to start. So which is the easiest way to start the SAF? Thank you. Maybe Dr. Adriana?
Maybe I can suggest something. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. The question is where to start SAF, yeah?
Yes.
Maybe we can
Where to start from?
Yeah, I think we can group courses in different groups, because we have mathematical, we have programming, we have databases, we have general courses, and then we can start within that group. We should suggest similar type of or methods, starting from assessment to measurement to evaluation methods. Maybe this is to start with, and it'd be much easier if we have one group and those people teaching that particular group can sit together and sit and map, and the other group can sit and map. I think much easier. This is what I think is possible. Maybe others can suggest, but I feel that this will be much easier when we do this task in a group, and we are belonging to that particular group, we have ownership to that. And we might come up with a very good mapping, all that framework and all that flexibilities, all that assessment triggering, as well as maybe other methods we can also suggest, like assessment methods. There are 6-7 methods as well. Okay, and this will be something fantastic at the end of the day if we add that as a part. And then we leave it open to the tutor, the teacher, who can adopt all of them, some of them, maybe 2-3 of them, and something. Allah.
Anyone, Dr. Murni, you want to share? Maybe your suggestion?
I think maybe we want to hear from Dr. Adrina, Dr. Aznan, and Dr. Rawat, because they have started. And even I think like Dr. Adrina, she already done it in the class, so maybe they are in a better position to reflect on the experience, how they actually incorporate in SAF to their class.
Okay. Right. In the first place, I'm not integrating everything at once. For example, like I focus on SDG first. Okay, and I focus only 2, SDG and Islamization. So in business fundamental perspective, every week I will revise my slides, and I'm not going to put the slide, but the example that I gave to the students, for example, how to run a marketing, I need to relate it with SDG and with the Islamic perspective. So it's not a lump sum go-to. You need to like take it slow and think how you want to create this SDG awareness to the students and how you want to make them think how they can apply Islamic practice in their business operation. So for me, I just started very slow. Like assignment 1, I really think I will focus on SDG. Assignment 2, I will focus on the Islamization, and the project, I will combine them both. So that's my perspective. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. How about the other panel? If you want to add.
With regards to my course, maybe it might be a bit different because what is mentioned in the SAF is actually very much already in the course since the very beginning. Because, like for example, we have one subtopic on Makasih Sharia and everything. But when I did the mapping exercise, okay, I have seen that for each of the SAF attribute, okay, the index, it would touch on, some of them would touch on similar things, some of them would touch on certain specific things. Like for example, when we talk about the intellectual development, so we have that in the Market Sharia, we have that in the Insan Sejahtera and so on. So meaning that if we meet one, we are I think we are already meeting the rest as well. So I think that by looking over by going through the different attributes of the SAF, okay, the Makasid, the Unesco learning pillars and everything, so we would be able to see how they would match with our courses. I like the suggestion by Prof. Asadullah that similar areas can group together, and then it will be common generally for everyone, so we are able to cater for several courses at one go. Yeah, that's my feedback.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Aznan. So I think there will be one more question here. Maybe to Dr. Zul, our KCA. So are we going to have like sharing with other kuliah as well to see how they actually implement SAF?
I think currently there are many projects that have already started, just like KICT. Yeah, who knows, maybe in the near future we can do, especially given the chance that we have now after semesters now that we're going to have quite a long break for the teaching the short semester. So I think that would be a good idea. Okay, you know, the time comes we can do that. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Maybe Dr. Rawat would like to share a few words. I think your presentation kind of touching a bit of the philosophical part. I mean, that's my perspective. So maybe you want to share how you actually look at your course, because one of the, I think, sorry if I can mention this, in the survey, when mathematical math was mentioned, I kind of assuming that from you. And I think I can see that in the beginning there was some difficulties, but now I think you're doing really, really well.
Yes. It was very difficult because I asked himself how I can link numbers with each math with the SAF. But when I search and I have some idea how to link, how to implement. But to make it officially, this was the problem. I think from my experience now, the best way to find for each LO examples, applications, real applications, to let the student to know the benefits of this LO or of this topic. Then we can find or link it to the SAF, to some elements of the SAF. So the best way to find the real application or real benefits for this LO through the examples. This is my talk. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rawat.
If I may add.
Okay.
If I may add, that's why I just like to say, for example, like when Dr. Rawat was saying, he has been doing this all this while. The only thing is that to make it formalized. So I think that is why SAF is actually nothing new, because SAF is actually just trying to make it more structured, and we can actually have a proper philosophy, so to say, so that we can fit in nicely. Yeah, because Dr. Rawat was saying he has been doing that actually, but but now with SAF, we are saying that okay, this is the thing that we can actually do it properly, formalize it. So I think this is good opportunity. I just want to say that SAF is nothing new actually. So SAF is actually what we've been doing, only that we make it more comprehensive, more relevant. I think that's all.
Thank you, Dr. Zul. So, anymore, we already reached 12 o'clock. I think I should wrap up the talk. Prof, do you have anything to say?
No, but I think we're doing very well, inshallah. Maybe we can have a separate workshop just to talk about what we want to do next. I think that would be good. Macam issues on do we want to formalize our teaching and so forth, So I think those are the kind of thing that we can do the next time maybe. Maybe Dr. Munir ada apa-apa, Dr. Munir?
Well, I think honestly, thank you, Prof. Honestly, I think I hope that everyone already sees some of the sample or example how the SAF can be applied in our courses. So Dr. Adrina, this is on the business fundamentals, so she focused on Islamization and SDG. Dr. Aznan has been doing a very detailed mapping, because his course is already on a track of Islamization, but now his analysis is more on other elements in the SAF. And I think Dr. Rawat, you bring up a very good example. Now we can see that, now we can debate that all courses has potential for SAF, but the way we're doing it is through the creativity. And I really appreciate the fact that I'm very sure you really put a lot of hard work in there, and then you come up with that. And And I felt that when you pull in some of the example from the Islamic tradition or history, that I think linked to some of the philosophical background of this course. And I think that relates to what Prof was mentioning just now, that we can start thinking now, and even I'm inspired to think about, what is the philosophy of HCI? I have started thinking about that. So thank you very much, everyone. And also, of course, thank you, Dr. Siti Asma for supporting this, being a moderator. Behind that, actually, we have Dr. Azli and a few other people who are helping. Inshallah, yeah. We have Dr. Lily, we have Dr. Lily, Dr. Aziza, siapa lagi? A few others, so he'll be helping on the data analysis. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you everyone. So I think that's the end of our session. So let's end our session with Tasbih Fikra and several answers.
Thank you very much all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can we have this set of slides presented today, Dr. Modi?
Yes, definitely, Prof.
Yeah, please. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Norvik.
Thank you very much. MashaAllah. Assalamualaikum.
Warahmatullah.
Alhamdulillah.